So what I want to talk about today is I'm trying to run Opencv and I'm trying to use VideoCapture. And VideoCapture is working to a point, but then there's no pipeline. It says GStreamer, no pipeline created. And so I tried to work on the problem, tried to figure out in the code what was going on, and did a lot of research online. Stack Overflow, et cetera, and it could not find a workaround. First thing I want to show you is that camera still does work and I can use Pi Camera. I can still utilize the video capture class. Gets to a certain point where it will exit because it's not finding any connection to the camera. And I want to show you here, this is my setup. So I've got a Raspberry Pi 5 module, Bookworm OS 64. I have a Raspberry Pi Hat Plus with an NVMe SSD on top of the hat. I use that just for read-write storage. Then I have the camera is the Raspberry Pi AI Camera. That camera is indexed correctly at 0. It runs a Sony IMX sensor, and it uses libcamera library camera stack. The camera is tested. So I've used libcamera -hello, the RPi cam also works, and of course the two work together because they're linked. There's a sim link. And then I have number 5. I've built Opencv, built it from scratch, and everything's successful. If I show you, so I'm running 3.11 on the Python, and then I'm going to import CV2. And then from there, and so CV2 is the version is 4.12.0. I want to show you that the build on that. So it's GET-BUILT. So this will give you build information, get build, not built. And so print, and in parentheses, CV2 period get build information. I wonder if that is a function. Yes. So you can see here that when I was looking at this, I wanted to make sure that GStreamer was included, and it is, and also wanted to make sure that these were also included. So you can see the Opencv build was okay. The GStreamer is installed. It's working, but it's not working to a full extent where it's connecting to the camera. And then I'm using, of course, Python 3.11, and then number 7, Pi Camera 2. That is the camera stack. Then I've done sudo app update, upgrade, and the EEPROM and everything. So everything's up to date. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Phony. So this is test script here that I've made. So I'm importing all my modules there. So I built a function here. This is the function header, and I have main function, and then I have a parameter here, and that is PyCam1. Underneath that, what I wanted to do is print out that when I execute this, it shows that I'm in the main function. Let's just change that right there. So here I have a instance of the object VideoCapture, and here's my index for my camera. So I have that. Then what I did underneath that, just to print it out, to make sure that that was built, and then to see if it's using any of its methods. So what I did is down here, I wrote cap.set, and I'm setting the frame width to 640. And then down here, I'm setting the height to 480. And then I'm assigning what's on the right to the variable on the left, which is width and height. And then down here, there's a print statement, and it's printing out set width is width and set height is height. So that should come back to true. And then what I'm going to do down here is I'm going to, on this line, I'm using the get method, and I'm going to get the width, and I'm going to get the height, and then I'm going to print that out. So these are all just testing to see how far I get in the video capture and the Opencv 2. And so down here, I define the codec and create a video writer right here. And then I print it out right there. And then again, down here, I'm trying to set in the video writer as far as the codec and the frame rate. So here is the output, the name of the output file. If you leave it just like this, it's just going to write it to your local directory, what you're in right now. Let's just change that to the external, the SSD, and I'm going to put it in the home directory. So if it were to actually write it out, it would actually send it to the SSD on top of the hat. And then this is your, again, the codec. This is your frames per second. So 20, I'm going to change that to 30, which is pretty common. Let me save that. And then here's the size, the width and the height. And and then down here I have a print, and then print out what this variable is, because in Python everything's an object. So and then down here it's, while cap is open. So while the capture, which is the instance right here, while it's open, and then print is opened, and then it's going to say true or false right there. And then right here, just to see if I can't get the width. And then down here, this is ret, which is a bool, and this is your frame. And then cap.read, so it's trying to read it. Okay, it's trying to read a frame right here. And then again, I go down here and I say, hey, print the bool value of RET is RET, and the frame is frame. So then here I have x equals out dot write frame. And then just for testing purposes, I'm gonna type in x, add a little bit of verbiage here. So let me save that. So if it gets to this point, it's going to print, this is XX. So if not ret, meaning, okay, if not false, then if it's true, you can't read the, you can't read the frame. And so it's going to break out of the loop using the break statement right there. And it's going to print that before actually breaking out. So we know we made it to here. And then if it does work, then it's going to come down here. You have cv2.imshow, the image, that's just for the window frame, and then the frame, because we have our frame up here, and we want to pass it into imshow. And then down here, we use the cv2.wait key, and then this is an ordinal right here, and it's a Q. So if it were to work, we push the Q key right here. And then you want to release everything, cap release, out release, and then close all the windows. And since this is a function, then what I want to do is I want to return PyCam1, and that you're calling whatever's passed in here into the main function. So next I want to show you, so here's where the other part of the test comes in. So there's a function here, and the function is PyCam. And so we print in PyCam function, and then we create an instance of PyCamera2, and that is PyCam2. And then here you see on the right, PyCam2.create video configuration. You can see here I create the size 680 by 480, and here's the format for the color. And then I come down here, you have PyCamera.configure, and we want to configure what we just created. And then down here, I have the encoder that's set to a bit rate, and then the output. And the output is going to the SSD, which is the solid state drive, that the NVMe that's on top of the hat. And I have it in a mount point, which I created underneath the mount point is home. It's going in the home directory, which I created. And then the name I will give it is PyCamCv2.mp4. And so down here, I have my cam, which is a variable. I'm assigning PyCam2.startRecord video, the output, which is here. Here's your output. I'm passing that variable into the position 1 here, and then position 2 is the duration of the video, which is 10 seconds. And then I want to return my cam, which is this right here. So then I want to call the main function. So you'll see here that this Pi cam right here, it's getting passed into the main function. And let's save everything. And then now let's run it. And you can see down here in the bottom, you can see this is really good information down there. Now, currently, it says here in PyCam function, what we just talked. Now we're in the main function. And then you can see here the instance of the video capture. That was what I wanted to print out. And then we set the width, which is true, and the height is true. And then we went and we got the two sizes of the width and the height. And then the 4cc codec, which is class int. And then down here you can see, and this is where everybody gets kind of caught up. So just real quick, I'll point this out. So in Opencv, the GStreamer warning, and the GStreamer cannot put pipeline to play. And it raised an Opencv exception. And so what happened was that we can get all the way down to the bool value of ret is false, okay? And when it's false, the frame is none because it's unable to read the frame. So at that point, it's basically stopped. It's not connecting at all. Right here, we're just not reading the frame. So that seems to be a problem that everybody runs into. However, when I use the Pi camera, we still use Pi camera. I'm going to go into the SSD, go to home. I'm going to open this up, and you can see that there's the video. It still works using Pi camera. So, and then if I go to the tools and go to codec information, you can see that with Pi camera, we were able to change the video resolution. We changed that to 640 by 480. And then the frame rate, we were able to change that too. So Pi camera works, but video capture does not work. And there's the rest of the video there. Bottom line is, Pi camera 2 will work with your camera. You can set that up and work with that. There is if you type in to a URL on the internet, Pi camera 2 library, it will show you a documentation on the Pi camera 2. And there's all kinds of resources out there and stuff like that. So I'll close out of there, and that is what I had been working on. And I discovered that the Raspberry Pi AI camera, with the way it's built, the engineering and stuff like that, it will work with Pi camera 2 because Pi camera 2 is a library that sits on top of the lib camera. The Opencv, the video capture, is not going to work. I haven't found a clear answer yet, but I'm still hoping somebody out there maybe might find a workaround, or somebody might build something. Thanks for watching, and I hope you got something out of this video. I'll see you next time.